listening to Indian Defense News. If you are new, please subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified when new video is uploaded.
IAF flags concerns about fifth-generation fighter deal. Will India cancel it? The Narendra Modi government now has a problem on its hands. The Indo-Russian fifth-generation fighter program, FGFA, was planned about a decade ago and several $billion have been spent by both the countries for its design and development. As far as the Indian Air Force is concerned, the FGFA was part of its future. But with the IAF giving the government its doubts about the project in writing, the Modi government will have problems on its hands. Will it accept the IAF's point and close the program it has heavily invested in for years? This becomes tricky as the Russians are still India's closest military ally and the decision to not go ahead with it could strain ties. There will also, most certainly, be pressure from the Russians. Going ahead with it would also make the Air Force unhappy. Along with a report by Air Marshal S. Varthaman, retired, the Air Force has sent a note to the Defense Ministry. The note is written by Assistant Chief of Air Staff, Plans, Air Vice Marshal B.V. Krishna. But while the Varthaman report appears to support the project, the Krishna papers raise doubts. Naturally, the government will have to go by what the Air Force wants, and at this point, the IAF does not seem very keen. Friends, I'll make a separate video on FGFA in Hindi. We'll discuss there what are the reasons behind the cancellation of FGFA deal. Saab to pitch A26 for Indian submarine tender. Sweden's Saab has entered the Indian Navy competition for its Project 75I submarine acquisition program, submitting a response to the Navy's request for information, RFI, based on the Saab Kockums A26 submarine. Jan Widerstrom, Saab India country head and chairman, confirmed to Stratpost, "We are responding to the RFI." He explained that this decision came after a company review of the RFI and said, "We are confident that we can offer the Navy a perfect match on their request." Saab is currently building tomorrow's most advanced conventional submarine for the Swedish Navy, he said, adding, "The A26 is the world's most advanced conventional APE submarine that incorporates current technologies and is geared for all forms of underwater engagements, including intelligence operations and dealing with asymmetrical threats." Widerstrom says, Saab's A26 uses the latest stealth technology to make it virtually invisible. It incorporates advanced network-centric communication to allow submarines to integrate their communications with those of other defense forces and civilian agencies. Operational flexibility, together with a comprehensive weapons suite, enables it to carry out a wide variety of missions. A key benefit in the design of the A26 submarine is its modularity, which provides an amazing degree of operational flexibility, future-proofs the vessel and contributes significantly to cost-effective construction and assembly, he says. An Indian F-16 enterprise, understanding the strategic opportunity for the Indian Air Force. The Indian Air Force is about to launch competition to add new fighter aircraft. This would be in addition to the acquisition of 36 Rafale fighter aircraft already in place. The Indian Chief of Staff of the Air Force has indicated that the IAF will buy additional Rafales but also add a new single-engine jet to modernize its fighter force. The frontrunners in the single-engine competition are Saab's Gripen and Lockheed Martin's F-16. Such a competition is not simply a platform competition, but a capability one as well in terms of the industrial and combat ecosystems associated with each aircraft. There are clear differences, not the least of which the F-16 is combat-proven and being upgraded by several F-16 users, and the Gripen is not combat-proven and is being upgraded almost completely by the Swedish Air Force. If the Gripen were to be selected by the IAF, the Indians would undoubtedly pay the lion's share of upgrades in the future. The F-16 being offered is what Lockheed and USAF are calling the Block 70, which has significant upgrades in terms of avionics, sensors and radars. Not only is the aircraft being significantly modified in terms of what the aircraft is capable of doing in the battle space, but also in terms of how the pilot workload is being changed by the new systems on board. New data management, sensors, processing and displays allow for significantly enhanced workload efficiencies for the Block 70 F-16 pilot. The differences between what an F-16 and a Gripen means for the future of the IAF goes far beyond a platform discussion. It is really the strategic impact of the global F-16 enterprise and its ties to the evolving F-35 renorming air combat enterprise versus the Gripen as a Swedish air platform, which is flown by a very small number of air forces globally, and certainly not cutting-edge ones. For the Indian Air Force, the choice is rather stark if one takes an enterprise or global combat learning curve point of view. The F-16 is flown by a great number of air forces and key parts are built worldwide. This means that India is not tied to the United States and its operational or manufacturing experience. Rather, the F-16 built in India could leverage a global enterprise as well as expand its global working relationships. After 36 jets, Rafale to push for Make in India. After selling 36 Rafale fighter jets to India, French government is now pushing for a project to manufacture warplanes here in Indian soil to give a boost to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's push to encourage local manufacturing under Make in India. And to put Paris's case strongly, its newly appointed Defense Minister Florence Parly is visiting New Delhi and will be meeting her Indian counterpart. According to South Bloc officials, Parly will be landing India with high-level delegation on October 26 and on next day she is scheduled to hold series of meetings with Indian officials on issues related to defense cooperation between the two nations. Though the visit is aimed towards further strengthening defense cooperation between the two nations, but offering production line in India for Rafale jets is surely will be on cards, said an official. IAF plans highway landing of its fighters next week. Indian Air Force plans to land several of its fighter and transport aircraft on the Agra-Lucknow Expressway next week to train the pilots on emergency landing. Allahabad-based Central Air Command intends to land multiple aircraft including Mirage and Jaguar fighters on the highway on October 24, Defense Ministry sources said. This would be the third highway landing for IAF in the last 2 years. Previously Yamuna Expressway, which connects Delhi to Agra, and Lucknow-Agra Expressway were used by the force for some of its combat jets to touch down. After discussions with several state governments, IAF identified 22 road segments where lightweight fighters and transport aircraft can land. The first such landing took place on the Yamuna Expressway in May 2015 when an IAF's Mirage test landed after taking off from Gwalior. Some of India's neighbors use highways as landing strips. While Myanmar has vast experience in this area, Pakistan Air Force used a piece of the highway between Lahore and Islamabad for its J-17 jets touchdown and takeoff. IAF wants to prepare its pilots with more emergency landing skills because air bases are one of the first targets of an enemy attack in case of war. In such a situation, highways can be used as a backup runway.